実は俺、子供の頃両親を亡くしてさ。
Join the club, kid. We opened this week with actually some pretty interesting world building as the elves explained the mechanics of their rune magic, like being able to make objects weightless or even direct their cactus pricks that they used as arrows that otherwise actually wouldn't be able to fire properly without fletching. It would have been nice if we could have learned more about this stuff, but the focus ended up shifting to Toggle and Rania. The former, being the Bond expert and everything, managed to rather intuitively put together that the latter was lonely specifically for Azur just based off of her facial expressions. Sure enough, they turned out to be old friends, but politics and the Monostones had broken their bonds. Sad to say, I'm pretty sure the former caused a lot more rifts than the actual demon rocks. Of course, she was determined to defeat her old friend, and in Togo's mind, they could then kiss and make up.
That makes sense to me.
I mean, to be fair, it was a typical Sentai mindset of punching things out and then becoming friends in the end, but surprisingly, he also did have a bit of a nuanced take when he acknowledged that things won't necessarily just go back to be normal, as some tensions will linger. Because apparently, something similar happened to him with someone who he considered to be like a brother, but we're probably not gonna get any more elaboration than that, as the original manga just kinda maintained this whole backstory to one page and...
できればその話聞かせてもらえませんか?
Were we gonna do the card thing today? I got out the Millennium Puzzle and everything. No, as it turned out, for this episode, the Keys to 5 sections that we've seen throughout this anime adaptation that weren't in the original manga were gonna take over. So yeah, technically, I guess you could consider this some anime original filler, but at the same time, it's actually going to add significantly to Toko's backstory, so it's relevant unlike, well, pretty much every shonen anime ever. Plus, as we'll soon see, this story definitely has some credentials, to say the least. Anyway, Togo flashed back to shortly after the passing of his biological parents, which I guess I was wrong about that whole divorce thing in a previous review, as instead, he was just an orphan who was adopted into a new family of his father's friend.
私は新藤大吾。君のお父さんの大親友だ。
I don't know, Toko. You probably shouldn't trust a guy who doesn't mind shooting Aoyuki. Yeah, this guy was voiced by Teruaki Ogawa, who played Hyuga the Black Knight in Gingaman, and also served as the show's motion capture director. Because if you want some real Sentai poses, you should go to the source, which in this case was a guy who's actually played 2 Super Sentai heroes, the other one we'll get to later. Anyway, we then got the actual opening to Keys to 5, which was mostly just a collection of clips from the actual show. Yeah, this is just what's eventually gonna happen when y'all keep splurging on those bombastic OPs. I will say, the song is pretty good and very Sentai-ish, though I don't recognize the singer, who I think his name is Rise. Whatever the case, I don't think he's sung for Super Sentai previously. Anyway, the full Keys to 5 episode that we were going to get this week was actually 12, which I guess was also a requisite flashback episode, as it started off by showing a young Togo moving into the Shindo family, but was having issues with severing and creating new familial bonds. Fortunately, the actual son of the Shindos, Kiyohiro, quickly befriended him.
友達ならいつでも誰とでもなれるだろ.
The two of you could even become idols. Yeah, in one of the odder VA connections that we can make between the shows we review, young Kiyohiro here had Uta/Cure Idol's VA. Meanwhile, Ogawa had also played Megumi/Cure Lovely's dad, so yeah, we got some weird multiverse stuff going on here. Anyway, Kiyohiro did all he could to support his new brother, including saving him from stuff like...
ある時はムチ打ちの刑。ある時は火炙りの刑。
Gee, I wonder which famous Sentai writer wrote this episode. Actually, don't even bother answering that, as Togo broke the fourth wall and said that the pen of a crazy old man, aka Toshiki Inoue, was controlling him. Well, at least now I can replace that Kamen 5's clip with this. But yeah, in true Inoue stylings that has even affected the writing of his daughter, almost everyone in this world was a sadistic psychopath, including even the so-called heroes. Though to be fair, Idra yandering out here was in the original manga, so you can't take any credit for that Inoue. Anyway, as their use in school went by, Kiyohiro went through a bit of a sa-sword phase. Again, I remind you, this is Uta impersonating the Lamen guy. And while we do drag Inoue for his overusage of his personal tropes, he can actually do the character writing really well, as he did flesh out Togo and Kiyohiro's relationship very effectively, and even nicely foreshadowed some future events. With that, the boys eventually entered high school where Togo helped him become student council president, and yeah, I'm starting to realize how freaking long this flashback has been going in this Kizuna 5 episode. Anyway, it was a bit of a hollow victory as not everyone approved of him.
なんか真面目すぎてつまんねえっつうか。
No one was asking for your opinion, Kenta. And no, I'm not even kidding, that's actually Kenta Date, aka Mega Red, down to them even bringing back his original actor Hayato Oshiba. In fact, the entire core team of Mega Ranger was just here with their original actors. Granted, Shun was easy enough as he was already playing the actual Blue of the show, but still, good on them for tracking down the other four. Also, I might need to watch more Mega Ranger, but why does Miku have that Magatama on her forehead? Anyway, they said they would have preferred voting for Togo, which, yeah, I don't think every Red Sentai should just become a politician. Also, I guess this episode 14 also had a clip back to the first episode of their series, as it showed Togo transforming for the first time apparently. However, his Sentai activities, along with a lot of other things, were clearly starting to eat away at Kiyohiro. And with that, we now enter into the lightning round of Super Sentai references. Okay, let's count them up. Okay, we got Deca Pink and Yellow together along with their original VAs, which was easy enough as the former was already voicing Kizuna Yellow, and Jasmine's actress Ayumi Kinoshita does a lot of VA work these days. Ninja Red and Blue were here as both of their VAs were already on staff, with Ogawa having played the former and the Lives actor playing Kizuna Green. The Jetman made voiceless cameos, likely because Inoue wrote their show, same with Kamera Agito, this time with the right hair. And oh come on, that's just straight up Red and Yellow Buster with Osada Lettuce right there. The latter was the only one who talked as Yoko's actress played Kizuna Pink, though I think they also could have gotten Usada. Oh wait, that guy's still cancelled, isn't he? Lastly, we got Kajiki Yellow from Q Ranger and Kiji Brother with either Miho or Natsumi from Dome Brothers. All three didn't have their original actors, probably because they were too difficult to get, but yeah, a new enemy known as Bond Killer released a sound that brainwashed everyone to break ties with everyone close to them, or rather, turn them all into Inoue characters.
結婚だいつもこそこそスマホばっかりいじりやがって浮気してやがんだろ
Yeah, I'll just consider this to be the canon ending to that story arc in Dome Brothers. Seriously, Tsuyoshi did not deserve to end up with Natsume after he was such a creep. Togo confronted him and warped in the rest of his team, who I'm just starting to realize were barely in this episode, but hey, at least they got some proper and actually pretty fun roll calls that again were at least partially choreographed by an actual two-time Sentai actor. They took out the grunts, and then Togo dealt with Killer directly, and had probably one of the best hand-to-hand fights of this whole show, which is another common aspect of Inoue's writing, and actually one of his best ones, as he does know how to write for intense battles. Later, Togo ended up running into Kiyohiro, who revealed, not too surprisingly, that he was Bond Killer, having been given his powers by Professor Kamen Rider. You bastard! You betrayed Conan to the Black Organization, didn't you? I say not too surprisingly, as it was heavily foreshadowed throughout the episode, but it was still effective, as we did end up feeling for Kyo, as Togo, ironically through his obsession with getting along with everyone, ended up pushing him away. However, and in spite of almost being tempted to the dark side himself, Togo still believed in their first meeting, when he was at his lowest point, and his adopted brother's words kept him going. Again, there is plenty to be criticized about Inoue's writing, but he just really gets those moments. That said, through the negative energies of the arguing Sentai, a portal to another world ended up opening up and summoned a mech for Kiyohiro to pilot, which was an evil Aquarion? Yeah, I guess it's worth mentioning that this thing was designed by Shoji Kawamori, a legendary mech designer who did stuff for both Transformers and Macross, on top of many other things, including the pervy version of the Getter Robo here. That said, yeah, this thing might be a little too on the nose there. I mean, the next thing you're gonna tell me is that the actual Aquarion is gonna appear and... Like, I guess this show's anime studio did make Aquarion, and they did say that they had opened up a dimensional portal, but still, I wasn't expecting them to suddenly become an SRW game, which, yeah, you better believe I'm hoping this actually makes it into the next game, because Togo didn't really explain what was going on, as the Kizna Kaiser then just defeated the evil mech, and I guess Apollo and his team just wandered off somewhere. But yeah, as a result, Hiro was saved, and he made up with Togo, and everyone else's bonds were also fixed, including one of the worst ships in Super Sentai history. However, I guess the story of the Bond Killer wasn't over, as he kept on coming back.
全部で13回の戦いを経て
Yeah, okay, I'll tell him. Hey, Mr. Killer, Trent says that you have some issues. With that though, the episode ended with a cliffhanger with the arrival of those cards that I mentioned, but we'll save that for next week. This whole episode was pretty much just one big love letter to Super Sentai, written by a guy who writes more Dear John letters, but still, we love him for it. Again, while this was originally just a few panels in the original manga, with I think some references in other chapters, I guess they figured that they should just bring in one of the most respected and controversial writers in the Super Sentai franchise, and gave him free range to do almost everything he wanted, including putting his smug ass face in. And as a result, we got a very entertaining anime original episode with an insane number of cameos. Like, even putting aside the Sentai who are already on staff for this show, it is impressive that they got guys like Hayato Oshiba who retired from acting already. Moreover, it actually did flesh out Togo's character nicely with that Inoue writing that can be quite good when the characters aren't being written as total psychopaths. But yeah, he managed to really highlight the faults in Togo's idealistic views on bonds with an actually gripping tale about his adoptive brother. Of course, he still had to clown around with stuff like that ending, but again, that's just kind of what we expect from his shows. And despite much of the main story being shoved aside for him, this was arguably the best episode of this anime, especially if you do really enjoy the Inoue-isms. If anything, at least no one fell into some water. Also, again, what the hell was the Aquarion doing here? Thanks for watching, and if you want a few more pointless references, you could also check out some of our other videos. I can't promise that we can make as many references in this one episode, but we can certainly try. Look forward to Kamen Rider Gav tomorrow, and until then though, for now my friends, and you know, I just realized I'm standing next to a lot of water, aren't I? No, hold on, I just took a bath!